Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Chanel in the City on iHeartRadio. I am your host, Chanel Amari, and I have three special guests today, which is, we never do this, but this is a very special moment. Three of my good friends. We have one of the greatest movies of all time that you guys have to check out, Dela Cruz, which is hitting all over platforms, streaming platforms, August 8th. You must check it out. We got Michael Baez, who's the screenwriter, a beautiful, amazing, talented screenwriter of the movie and director. We got the lead actress, the gorgeous, the talented, the amazing Sofia Diaz. And we got the talented, amazing, driven, awesome Dennis Bonilla, the executive producer. I'm a lucky girl because you usually don't get the three main people from a movie like this on Chanel in the City. Guys, welcome to Chanel in the City. And
Thank you.
congratulations on an amazing movie. I was privileged enough to screen the movie before. It hits August 8th. All streaming platforms, as well as, is it hitting theaters as well? Or talk to us a little bit about it.
No, not yet. Actually, it's not in theaters. We did do a festival run, so it played in different festivals and really beautiful theaters. We played at the Regal Theater in downtown LA. We played at the Chinese Theater here in Hollywood, where I live. I'm in California, by the way. So yeah, it's been playing in theaters and festivals, but it will be streaming, as you said, on the platforms on Amazon, Fandango at home, and Verizon Fios August 8th, which is coming up, coming up,
Yeah.
coming up.
Coming
Yeah,
up. And
yeah.
everybody's asking me, Chanel, what movies? The summer's slow. What show should I be watching? This is the movie De La Cruz. Let me tell you, it's such an empowering movie. I'm going to let you guys get into what the movie's about and what the inspiration is, but it's about a female and based on some true events in Mexico of what's going on in the Latin culture and in general of a woman who really finds herself in the dumps and has to fight her way through life and has to fight her way through her, I would say, antagonists, right? Whether they're male, mostly a male, but talk to us about why you wrote, like, talk to us a little bit about the movie and what's the premise of this movie, De La Cruz.
Sure, sure. Well, I'm gonna go back a few steps
Yeah,
because I actually wrote the first script. It's now part of a trilogy. This is actually a trilogy. So this is part one, but I
right.
wrote part three in 1999. Is when I finished writing. I started in 97 and I finished. I spent 2 years writing one script, and it wasn't intended to be a trilogy. It was like one script. It's called Butterfly in the Fire. It's following the story of Yoli de la Cruz. It's still her story. She's still the main character. But I came out of film school. I wrote the script. I presented it to my writing mentor. His name is Eddie Pomerantz. He's also a fellow New Yorker, an amazing teacher. He taught at Columbia University, the Sundance Labs. He had a movie called Caught that was released by, I think, Sony. Amazing, amazing, talented guy. He read the script, said, Michael, I really believe in this. I'm going to sit with you. He sat with me for 2 years working on this script, getting it to the best possible shape. And once I was finished, like, okay, now what do I do with it? Because I didn't have no contacts, no investors, I had no experience. Like, what do I do now? So I just put it to the side. I did a bunch of short films, theater plays, commercials in New York. I'm born and raised in New York.
Yeah.
A lot of commercials for Cablevision, Time Warner. I know, but I always had the script in the back of my mind. And in 2019, I said, you know what? I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot a little 20-minute version of that script to see if it's possible to shoot it for a smaller budget but still high quality. That was very important to me. So I went with my friend and we shot 20 minutes. And her name is Angie Castro. She's also Colombian from Cali, as we were chatting before. And she got so excited by what we had done in New York. She went to Colombia, shot her own short film, won a ton of awards, and called me so excited. Said, Michael, you got to come shoot here. So I flew to Colombia with the intention of, okay, can I shoot this movie here? But I loved Colombia. It's a beautiful country, but my story is such a New York story. I was like, oh, the opening scene is on the subway. Like, it's not going to work here. But a light bulb moment happened. I said, well, what if I write a prequel to that story and I set it for another country? So it could be like, Yoli lives in Colombia and then she moves to New York. That was my thinking. But then, I wrote the prequel, and that now it's called Muertos, which is now known as part two. But at the time, it was going to be the prequel to Butterfly in the Fire. And the pandemic hits, and then the strike happens. And I was like, oh, here we go again. So I had to wait another couple of years. So it was 2020 March, and the pandemic hits, and then in August was my girlfriend's birthday, which actually today's actually her birthday. So happy
Happy
happy birthday,
birthday!
Brie and Brittany.
What's
She's
her
a
name?
twin. Brianna and Brittany, because they're twins. So my girl.
Brianna and Brittany, happy birthday. That's amazing. I love that. Are they actors too, or did you ever think
No, no, no.
oh,
They're sound healers, yoga teachers. Yeah, yeah.
something that I need? All comedians, by the
Oh,
way, need that
we
shit.
all we
Okay.
all do. Believe me, we all
But
do.
that's
So
amazing. So yeah, go on. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
so
because
so
this is
I'm
incredible.
in Mexico for their birthday because we were like we had it with the pandemic. We need to get out of California, so we went to Mexico to Puerto Vallarta, and we're celebrating their birthday. We're at this gorgeous restaurant in Puerto Vallarta called La Capella. The most amazing views, sunset, three violinists coming to the table and playing, a lightning storm going on in the background, and I was like, oh my God, we're like in a movie right now. I feel like we're in a scene of a movie, like the most romantic. I should be proposing right now. So we're like in this amazing moment, and I go, wow, this is where their date happens. This is where Yoli and Xavier go on their first date. Like it just hit me, and that's where everything unfolded. And I said, okay, I think Mexico is where I got to shoot this movie. So I went researching online and then found like a bunch of producers, but it took me to Guadalajara because Puerto Vallarta is part of Jalisco, and but so is Guadalajara. But Guadalajara has a film commission, a whole more big film community. So I started emailing a bunch of filmmakers over there, producers, and they wrote back to me, and I started to narrow it down to who I wanted to work with. So I flew to Guadalajara, Mexico, with the intention of shooting Muertos, which again is now known as Part Two. But it was taking a long time to get that movie made. To take a lot of money. I was like, oh, here I am back in the same dilemma. So I said, okay, I'm gonna give it one more shot. I'm gonna write a prequel to that one, and I'm gonna scale it down to an affordable budget, a smaller size production that I can manage and I can do it without waiting another 20 years of my life. And that's what we did. And sure enough, we went to Guadalajara. That's how we met. We met Sophie, and then it's done, you know. But it's a 28-year journey. I actually counted. I said, wow, from the idea to now the release on August 8th, 28 years.
Well, it's funny you say that because a lot of the audiences always wonder, right? And same with artists and writers. We all are producers, writers, right? You think if I write a script and it doesn't make it, we're scared somebody's going to take it or somebody's going to make it. So it's interesting. Like you said, you're like, you had to take other jobs in New York. You have to hustle. I think people don't realize with Hollywood or the movie business, you're constantly hustling until you make that movie, until that movie is on screen. And even when it's on screen, you still want to do more and you still have like other things, you know what I mean? So it's amazing that you got to get this movie done and you had the patience to wait this whole time. Now,
Yeah.
how did you know you wanted Sophie and how did you meet Dennis? Like how did you put this whole team together? Like what was your vision? Did you go through auditions?
Yes, yes. We actually put a word out on the website called Backstage, which is still
All right.
a big way for actors, especially who don't have representation, to find
Mm.
work. And I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor, and then I was on the set of Carlito's Way with Al Pacino and Brian De Palma, and I was like, I don't want to be an actor anymore. I want to be a director. So that's where it all changed for me. But
Wow,
backstage,
really? So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where it changed. You said, I
yeah.
don't want to do the acting, I want to just direct.
I'm
Wow.
over it because I was an extra. I was in the background. I was like, this kind of sucks, you know. Like Pacino's amazing, you know, John Leguizamo, Louis Guzman, amazing cast. But I was like, Brian De Palma's the one calling the shots, and that's why I changed and said I want to become a director instead of an actor. But we put the word out in Backstage. We had 400 submissions for this role of Yoli de la Cruz because it's a great role. You know, it's a
It's a
young,
great
tough
role.
Latina, you know, MMA fighter. I'm like, this is I want to be there. I want to be Yoli.
Yeah. I want to transition now. Are you
I
kidding
know,
me? Now,
Yoli.
is Jolie based on a true character or just a general like vision of what a Latina woman is?
Yeah, it's like a general because I was living in New York when I wrote her, so of course, you know, I'm Puerto Rican. It was like, okay, she's a Puerto Rican from the Bronx. That's where I was living. That's
Yes.
that's where I was. You know, I write who
By
I
the
know.
way, sorry, that's my type. Puerto
Uh,
Rican from
uh,
the or Dominicans from the Bronx. I've had a long history, but you guys
yeah,
are charismatic. What can I
I
tell you?
know, I know. Come on, we got the best musicians, the
The
best
best.
actors. We got everybody. So that was my initial vision was this young, tough Puerto Rican girl from the Bronx. And then as I started to shift, you know, where we're going to shoot it at, and that's why Cali did resonate with me because Cali is a beautiful country in Colombia, a beautiful city, and then it has like these favelas, you know, and we went. It's amazing. You can go on these tour, like a tram ride over them and see, and I'm like, wow, like this is. I feel like I'm in Brazil and the favelas. So I do wanted something urban. So when I went to Guadalajara, I was like, oh, Guadalajara has this vibe. It definitely has an urban vibe. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. I love Guadalajara, but it has an urban vibe to it, right? So I was like, okay, I think this could work. So when we put the word out for the audition, we got 400 submissions, and me and my producing partner Angie, we try to watch every single one of them, and look through the headshots, and it was a long process, but we finally we picked this one girl who we found in Mexico City through one of her friends, Fernando, who actually is an actor in a movie, and he recommended this one girl, and we loved her. She was great, and we said, okay, you got the part. But this was all via Zoom and phone calls and text messages and WhatsApp. So finally we said, okay, we're gonna go to Mexico. We're gonna meet her in person. So we go, and before we get to Mexico City, where she is, we stop in Guadalajara to do some auditions there. And that's where Sophie enters the picture. And in my mind, we already have this other girl cast for Lee, and then I see Sophie in the hallway. I'm like, ah, this poor girl. Why is she here? Like, I feel bad for her. Like she see her reading her lines. She looks so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, let's give her a shot. Let's have her come in anyway, even though we got the other girl, and she blows us away. She blows us away. Her performance leaves us like this. And my
Wow.
girlfriend, Brianna, who I mentioned, she's right next to me. She has no film experience. This is her first venue into this world. She turns to me and goes, "You messed up. You need to pick her."
You
I
see,
just like
it's not
Sophie.
personal. It's the talent at the end of the day.
Uh,
It's
It's
a
the
talent.
talent.
So I'm like, oh
thank you,
man.
Brie. Thank you so much for that.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh man, we really, really got it. She's so good, but we got this other girl. So we wrap up Guadalajara. We go to Mexico City, and now I'm supposed to meet this actress over there, and we're holding some other auditions. And out of nowhere, I get a call from her manager, who I'm like, I've never been dealing with the manager, I've been dealing with her directly. Who's this manager calling me? And she's like, yeah, she can't do the role. No explanation, just she's not gonna do it. And I was like, what? So I'm completely like angry, to be honest with you. Like, I've been talking to this girl for months, and I feel like she just broke up with me out of nowhere,
Yeah, it's a breakup. Yeah, it's a breakup out of nowhere, I
What's the
swear.
engagement here? But then Brianna and Angie go, Sophie, now you can work with Sophie. I'm like, yes. So
It's a blessing. You see,
it was
God
a
was on your
blessing.
side.
It was a blessing. We fly back to Guadalajara a few days later. We meet with Sophie. We officially offer her the part. We connected her with a trainer because in the movie, and as you saw, she's an MMA fighter. Sophie had zero experience in MMA, and we put her
No,
with a
nothing.
trainer, but not just any trainer. We put her with the father of the number one UFC female fighter who actually became the champion, Alexa Grasso. So
Yes.
Oh,
Sophie
I know
trained.
Alexa Grasso. I even know who Alexa Grasso is, and I'm not a. Okay, that's
So
crazy. Wow.
Sophie trained with Luis Grasso, who's Alexa's dad, for 3 years. While it took
Yeah.
us to raise the money to figure out where we're going to shoot this movie, Sophie was in training for 3 years. I'll let her tell you the rest.
Wow, Sophie, what an incredible story. So yeah, talk to us about the part, what you had to do to get ready. Of course, 3 years. I mean, this is why I tell people about acting or comedy or entertainment, writing, producing. You gotta want to really put the work in. You
Yeah.
can't think people are gonna do it for you. Even if
Yeah.
you're an actress, whether you're beautiful, you're talented, it's like you had to actually do
The work.
research and work. So talk to us about like, A, knowing you got the part,
Yeah.
you're acting for how long now? How old are you? You're so beautiful. How old are you?
Thank you. I'm 27 right now.
Oh my
Um,
God, so young.
but I started when I was little girl, but in musical theater. So like I
Okay.
wanted to be a musical theater actress, but in Guadalajara, there is not a lot of gigs of musical theater. So either I have to move to Mexico City or New York, but life. So life, and I started to do the princesses like for kids parties and stuff. Um,
Oh,
then
Yeah.
one friend that he was, I don't know, like a prince or something back then, he was like, "Are you like interested in movies and commercials and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah,
you're
but
like, why do you think I'm doing the princess thing just to do
uh,
it?
but yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean, I could
it's money.
try, but I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know like how where to find castings or anything. And he was like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna give you a lot of castings, and you just go and do the audition, and that's it." And then I started to do commercials, and then one thing led to another, and my first TV show and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, right now I'm here. But yeah, at the beginning, I didn't know anything about this other girl. I was just there for a callback, and that was it. And I did the casting for Yoli in Muertos. So De La Cruz, it wasn't even written back then. So uh, I was in this stage because at the beginning I didn't know anything about the story, and the casting was a really intense part. But I love to ask a lot of questions when I'm in an audition, and I remember the first thing that I asked to Michael, like, can you tell me what happened here? Because I don't understand completely this scene. He was like, oh, this happened. I was like, oh my God, okay, that changes everything. Okay, give me one sec. And then I just yeah, I just did it, with the information that he gave me. And yeah, I was feeling happy, and if this part is going to be for me, it will. If it's not, it's okay. Casting that I usually do, casting that I forget, because if not, it's really painful, like
Yeah.
super painful.
Rejection. Well, that's what I
Uh,
was gonna, yeah, ask you. How do you, if you can share with our audience too, like as an actress, and you're beautiful, you're talented, you have everything going for you, and it's competitive. How did you deal with the fact knowing, well, I know you didn't know about the other girl, but like just in general, knowing that you have competition or you have people rejecting you or saying no to you. How do you keep your light? How do you keep positive and keep going and say, well, you know what? I love this, so I'm going to keep going until it's for me. Like, how did you deal with it during this process?
I know, yeah, because I think rejection, it's a part of being in this industry in general, but
Yes.
I feel that actors and actresses, we deal with a lot of rejection, a lot of it. So I feel that um don't take anything personal, because at the end, they're trying to tell a story. And I don't know if Yoli was, I don't know, blonde, and they don't have the budget to make me blonde. So
Right.
maybe, it's not because I'm not talented, or because I'm not, not worthy of the role, but it's just because they can't do it. Or uh, it's it's not because of you sometimes. So it's very different. And also, um most of people, they're gonna say no to you, and you
Mm.
have to you have to deal with that idea and try to live with that. But also, discipline is a very good, I think discipline is my best friend, because I feel that discipline um takes you places where motivation can't. So I feel that when you are disciplined and you are always working on your dreams, it will eventually happen, and you cannot work with somebody that is not you. So I feel that also you have to be truly to yourself, and be, I'm this girl. If I fit in the part, I will. If not, another opportunity is gonna come, and people will see, okay, you can make me blonde, and probably I'm gonna look good, maybe not, but I can try.
Yeah.
Also to be open with that possibility that you can be somebody else, but you have to work for that, and you have to acknowledge all of that and embrace that part. But first, such a cliche, I know this, but you have to be you,
Yeah.
because in the end, that's all that you have, and you have to work with that.
I
So
love you're my new best friend first and foremost. And second of all, I love that you say discipline because that's such a big thing that a lot of us don't think about. And I think if a lot of us had that, we wouldn't be asking why this and why that. I do agree with you. I think discipline is the number one thing that a lot of us forget. And if we can use that to be our best friend, it's probably
yeah,
the best advice I've ever heard in my life because now I'm going to start thinking, when I ever want to go sideways, oh, discipline. And when you start thinking that, you are more closer to your goals. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you said, like you're not taking it offensively, you're not taking it personally, you're just on a track. And that's what brought you here. Now you're the main actress of such I believe so. I wouldn't just say this is an incredible movie that actually I think should change time. especially since we're in a very critical time with so
Yes.
many things, like talk to me about the woman. For me, it was very empowering for women, like especially seeing you, you know, this beautiful girl who's smart, who's talented, who has everything going for her, and she still finds herself in these really challenging situations with men or in general with people. Like, do you see yourself in real life as Yoli? Like, were you able to relate to her in certain situations that's happened to you? You know what I mean? Where you had to be a fighter.
Uh, no, yeah, 100%. I feel that um Yoli is not a quitter.
Mm,
And me, myself, I believe I'm not a quitter either. So I completely understand when I read the whole story, even in Muertos, she's still a fighter, And I had to create or discover her, yes, discover her in this journey of becoming an MMA fighter, you know. But yeah, I feel that I started to become Yoli when I started training. I don't
mm,
know, for example, when you do certain activities, in this case is the MMA thing, I have a really long hair, really, really long hair. And when I start training, I realize I cannot have this long hair because it's a trigger. It always is a trigger in the training and in the trainings and everything. So I had to cut it, and I did. And then I realized why MMA fighters either there's a girl that she's bald because of that. They always have braces and everything. So I had like to get to know her, like why she's doing everything that she does, and in a way, I started to become her, because I feel that I. It's just that I feel all women are Yoli, and because I don't want to say that every girl or every woman has passed to, I don't know, abuse or anything similar, but I think most of us have been through something like that, and it's
yeah.
really sad to say that. Um, and it's a shame to actually accept that, because I feel that every woman has a story of kind of abuse, so I feel Yoli is really easy to relate with it, and because she's a teenager that
Mhm.
it's I think it's more one it's more powerful, not because an old girl or an older girl is not important, but because she is a teenager. I feel that when she finds herself and she feels stronger and that she can make a justice, uh, without any other's help, just by herself, I think it's really powerful because we don't teach our girls to be strong when they're little, We're always kind of like the I don't know how to say this in English, but el sexo débil.
See, it's like
Siempre,
submissive, like polite. Like my mom
yeah,
used to say in Spanish, Colombian, she used to be like, yeah, and it always bothered me because I felt like I had a fight in me, and I never could bring it out because I had to be the polite. I forget how you say it,
yes.
but there's like
Yeah, kind
what
of
she said, the expression, yeah.
yeah, like the polite one, the one that control her, their emotions, because
Yeah.
you're the woman, you have to be the bigger person in the room and all of that.
Yes,
you know?
no
Uh,
violence, no, right,
yes,
no fighting.
but it's really powerful because she can teach little girls that it's okay to speak for themselves, to raise their voices, to say this is not right, this I'm so angry, what can I do, and not repress all of those emotions that are really powerful emotions. And they're not like the emotions are not right or wrong,
Right,
they're just emotions, so you have to let it out, you have to cry, you have to, if you want to get angry, okay, you know go angry, whatever, but you have to let it out, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So we have to teach our girls that, and also teach our boys to be more respectful with those things,
yes,
so I think it's a very powerful, Jolie, it's such a powerful character, and she can teach I mean, everyone, she can
Everyone.
to everyone. So I feel so blessed for being part of this story, because I feel Jolie's story can be anyone's story.
I feel so, you have to understand, I cried during this movie. I was angry during this movie. I felt all the types of emotions, which makes such a great movie, you know? So like, and I wanted to be Jolie at the end. I wanted to have her in me, almost like you're right. It's a representation for all women, but it should be a representation for men to be learning the boundaries of society of what women go through, right? Because like even when it's funny, I watched the movie and it's almost like I tell Dennis this all the time, like God brought Dennis into my life and all of you, because I was going through a really challenging time in my life, as we all do. And I was having a hard time, like just standing up to men sexually, you know, just being like, I want to separate work and all that stuff, like as women go through. And once I saw the movie, I felt just more confident to talk about what I want and what I don't want in a nice way. Like in
Wow.
a way, you know what I'm saying? Like even though Jolie had to fight physically sometimes, I felt like that was my backup in the end of the day if I had to. Like, what is this guy gonna do to me? He's gonna manipulate me to go into bed with him, and then what? He's gonna punch
Yeah.
me. Like we are get so scared as women, we put all this fear.
Yes.
And then
Exactly.
when I see your character, I was like, wow, I see. If she can be this way, I should be this way. But I do feel like we need to teach our girls from a young age because I almost
Yes.
cried for the little girl in me
Exactly.
that didn't have the fight. And
Yeah.
that's the problems that arise as you get older and trauma. And so, wow, like I'm just, the movies, like, I want everyone to see this movie because of how empowering and how much it can make you either feel better, learn, but also become a better person, a stronger person.
Yes, yes.
Why do
Thank
you think, yeah, and anyone can answer this. Why do you
No,
think
that's
Jolie,
amazing.
yeah, Michael, why do you think, and Dennis, you guys can also chime in. Uh, why did you want Yoli to become the MMA fighter? Without giving too much away, what is the premise also of why she had to become a fighter? What did she go through without giving too much away? Because I want
So
people to see
no,
the movie.
of course, and I think we should say a little bit about what the movie
Mhm.
is because it's in the trailer. If people watch the trailer, it's all
Right.
there.
Yeah.
We've
Oh, by the way, we're showing an exclusive trailer on the 8th with iHeartRadio, guys. You can only make sure you click on the link in the description, which will take you to the trailer. Michael, we'll talk about sharing that. But yeah,
okay.
talk to us a little bit about the
Yes.
premise.
So, we wanted to obviously with a trailer, there's those trailers that like give away the entire movie. And like, I already saw the movie. I don't need to see it. So we did have to give you a little bit more than we wanted to really let you know what is this movie about. But there's so much that we didn't show as you saw that's not in the trailer at all. But the main thing of the trailer is that Yoli gets sexually assaulted and she wants justice, and that's all she wants. She wants justice. She doesn't go to revenge until she doesn't get justice. So her justice is denied. Then she goes for revenge. But
Mhm.
initially, she just wants justice, and I think that's something that all survivors, all people who have been in these situations, whether it be and it was also for me important as a writer, and Sophie and I spoke about this a lot because we had already cast her for part 2, which then of course would have her for part 3 before I wrote part 1. So we would have
Yeah.
these conversations like, okay, here's the scene. We talked about it in part 2 because she's on the date, as I mentioned, this beautiful romantic restaurant, and the guy that she's on a date with asks her, why did you become a fighter? Like, why are you a fighter? And she says, because when I was in school, there was this boy who liked me, he tried to attack me, and I trained and I went back and I beat his ass. So she tells him that was the whole script
Premise
from
for
that one
yes.
scene. This one little
Yes.
I don't know, 2 paragraphs of a scene, became this whole entire movie because I knew that there was so much there, to talk about abuse and the training that she had to go through and like who was this guy and how did she meet him? Like there was so much to build around in that world just over this tiny, tiny little moment. So it was important for me to like, okay, let's address this because I was listening to, I listened to a lot of podcasts as well. And there was one in particular, I think it was Oprah talked about how like when women are abused or raped or assaulted, usually there's alcohol involved. It's a very high percentage of the guy trying to get the girl drunk. So
Yes.
okay, and I had that in my mind. I was like, wow, I've never heard that voice that way. It makes sense, but I never heard
Mhm.
it said. So that became okay. He takes her to this beautiful restaurant. He's trying to wine and dine her. He's trying to get her drunk. Like he has an ulterior motive. We see that he has an agenda from that moment on. That he's really trying to get her drunk, and she's like, no, I don't drink. I don't drink. And there's moments where I love that in that moment there at the table at the restaurant, she says, I don't drink, but yet her peer pressure is forcing her to drink. And then when he takes her home and he tries to sexually assault her, she says, what I love, she says, I said no. She says it over and over. I said
Yeah.
no. I said no. It's like saying no is so important, but like sometimes these a-holes don't hear the no, and they just goes, no means yes, is that stupid, cliche is, there's so much. There was just so much, and I was so grateful that Sophie and I had these conversations about, okay, where's the line? How far do we want to go? Like, I want to
Yeah.
protect my character as the writer of Yoli, so I didn't want to have him succeed in the attempt, but still, the attempt is still traumatizing. Just because he doesn't
Yeah.
succeed doesn't
Beautifully
mean he's
said.
not traumatized by it. So I wanted
Yeah,
to
because
address that.
yeah,
So
because I remember that we talked about it, and I was doing the breakdown of Muertos, the second script, and I asked Michael, because in this line, particularly this line, I asked him, like, how broken is she? Like what happened in this moment that make her, an MMA? What was like the motive? And I remember that I asked him, and then De La Cruz happened, and also we talk about like how far, this guy is gonna go, and I say, okay, in my experience, thank God I've never been in that situation, like not like that. And but still, things had happened to me in a way, and it doesn't mean that, it's not that, it's kind of the same as if it was the whole
yeah,
abuse,
yeah,
Of course,
because
because
the
yeah,
trauma is there. The the fact that that somebody that wanted to hurt you, and the
yes.
intention was there, it's the same. It's the same trauma. It's something that you don't recover that easily,
Well,
so
that's why I wanted to. And on that note, I wanted to say that when I was watching it, I like that you didn't take it all the way, because I've been there. Personally, I haven't talked
yeah,
about this, but now is the appropriate time to talk about it because of the movie. I've been in points where I've been abused by a man physically, mentally, emotionally, or I've been sexually assaulted. But because, like what you and Dennis and Michael are saying, the trauma is still real. So even if
yeah,
it doesn't happen, like how many times I've said no to a guy and he's manipulated me otherwise and then used me and threw me out. That's
yeah,
a form of sexual assault. Do you know what I'm saying? There's so many different forms of feeling violated or saying no or feeling like you said, people want to, the agenda is to hurt you and use you and not have
yeah,
any other intention. That's what I also love about the movie is like I needed this, and I know many women needed this because we're silent in our head. We're taught by society to be quiet. Like you
yeah,
said, Michael also said, sometimes you're not heard. Sometimes it's the denial, even what you go through in the movie as a character, like people not believing you, people not
yeah,
yeah,
believing us. And then how do you find that justice when someone doesn't believe you? Like, and any of you can answer this. It's like, how do you find that justice within the movie and the character and off screen when everyone's against you and doesn't believe you? Do you still keep quiet? Do you still fight? That's why I get why your character had to be an MMA fighter, because the only justice in that sense was kicking the shit out of a guy and teaching him a
yeah,
lesson. Not that
yeah,
we all want to get there though, right? Not that we all want to do that
Uh,
every day.
no,
Well,
Like,
but
I'd be in jail and I would call you from Mexico and then I'd really be in shit. I'd be like, I just beat the shit out of a guy. Guys, can you save me?
well, that's the beauty of the
Yeah,
movie,
Dennis.
I
Yeah.
think, Chanel, because when I first got involved, and Michael and I met and talked about it, I was immediately drawn to the movie and the message that it had. But the message became broader and broader as I learned more and more. A personal message for me, a personal message for people in my family, personal message for not just women, but men, non-binary. It doesn't matter. This is a problem that affects everybody, and it's a human right to sort of defend and find justice. And the fact that in this particular case, Yoli gets her power back, but as you can see during the movie, right, the power doesn't come back immediately.
No.
There's a transition to the point where she finally realizes she has to take control of this situation and face it head on. And for me, the situation is very real because too many people are not believed, right? She goes, she tries to get justice through the system. The system is rigged against these kinds of things, and then only 10% of the cases that are reported ever get to any level of some sort of conclusion. 10% of the reported cases. Imagine, because most cases don't get reported because, like Yoli said, Yoli, I call Yoli, Sophia says,
It's good.
It's fine.
because she is Yoli, right? At the end of the day, for me,
Yeah.
she is Yoli incarnate, right? And she's, she her case gets brushed under the table for whatever reason, right? And so it's just it has to be said, and it has to be said in a broad enough way and a meaningful way that you have to listen, you have to believe, you have to share the story, and you have to sort of let them get the voice back and be part of that voice. And Michael and I met, it was a very sort of I always say there are no coincidences in life. Like you said, Chanel, right? We crossed paths at the cutting room. There was no plan for us to even know each other at that point, right? You happened to be on stage. I resonated with your act. I went and reached out to you. We had a good talk. With Michael, we had this call, and I wasn't in the movie business. I was in the talent development business, and I had pivoted a couple of years ago, and I had just finished premiering a movie that I was involved in Las Vegas when a friend of mine from Las Vegas called Michael and said, Michael, you need to talk to Dennis. Maybe Dennis can help you with De La Cruz. And so Michael and I had a Zoom call, and I don't think we were into the call more than 30 seconds when I knew that I needed to be involved in this role. And I told Michael, you had me at hello, like in the movie Jerry Maguire. But it evolved, and it's evolved, and it's gotten more complex and more nuanced and more rich, the story for me, and why I've been sort of so adamant about getting the word out, because it's so widespread. It's not just women, it's men, it's everybody. And it affects every race, color, creed, nationality. It doesn't matter. There are no boundaries for this kind of abuse. And like you said, Jolie, wasn't the assault didn't go all the way, but there's other ways of being hurt and traumatized, and this trauma never goes away. I mean, it never goes away. You deal with it, you confront it, it gets buried for years and years, and then you lash out at some point, and you have these horrible relationships with men or women or whatever. And so I think this is all a very important part of dealing with the trauma, dealing with the healing, dealing with regaining your voice. And Yoli, uh, through Sophia, does a beautiful job of explaining her journey and how she got to that empowerment. And obviously, the sequel continues on, and the journey never ends, right? It's not, oh, I'm fixed, I'm great now, and everything's good. No, it continues on. It continues on, affecting your relationships and your life for the rest of your world. So.
Of course. And that's, by the way, beautifully said. I love that it's also coming from the men like you and Michael, like men in general, saying, hey, like we know what's going on. We understand. I want to know from your end why you think the system is rigged. And by the way, because I've gone through stuff, whether it's all the way or half. I have friends that gone through stuff. And by the way, it's very hard to have these relationships. You're right. The trauma lives on. We're all in therapy. People who want to get help are in therapy for it. Sometimes, like recently, I've been telling some guy no, 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 and then there's that manipulation. So you have to know when to, like, when you see Yoli too in the MMA fighting point, you also see her through these like errors where she verbally is saying no, and like after the attack, meaning it, meaning there has to be a boundary where you're like, no, you're not coming to my house. I don't care what you, but it's hard for women because we've said that to men before. So why do you think the system, is it a money thing with the system being rigged? Not believing women? Is it something that's too much for them to handle? Because I never understood what's the big deal to hold somebody is accountable. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I personally,
Please
and please, Sophie, please chime in. I personally feel that one, the system is mostly male dominated, first of all.
Yes.
Okay.
It's mostly men running things. And two, it is money. In my movie, he has his relative, his father is the cop. His father protects him. His father sweeps it on, even though the father speaks out against him and says, stop doing this. But later on, he tells Lobo tell her to drop the case, so it's still his son. He's still protecting his son. I'm here in California, and just a few days ago, a bunch of four little teenagers went and beat up another teenager as a racial hate crime, and we find out that one of those teenagers who assaulted the other guy, his father's a cop. I'm like, look at this. It just goes to show you, like, even though you would think, oh, his father's a cop, he should walk the straight and narrow path. No, he thinks, oh, because my father's a cop, I can go and just beat the hell out of somebody and I'll get away with it. And he just might. Who knows? It just happened a couple days ago. So who knows what's going to happen? But that's the truth of where we're living in, is that it's a male dominated world. Unfortunately, in terms of power
Yeah.
structure, it's shifting, but it's shifting so slowly. And that's why even the fact that you have this podcast and this talk show, it's amazing because it gives voice to topics that men won't speak about. I'm a yoga teacher also, aside from a filmmaker, so I'm constantly in the space and in conversations of the feminine energy. We're always talking about the chakras, particularly the throat chakra, which is expressing, speaking your truth, expressing yourself, not biting your tongue, not holding back. I live this stuff. I talk about it all the time in yoga, and now it's time to put it in a movie in a way that's entertaining, but also has some umph to it. Has a message, has something to say, but still in an entertaining way. Because we want to get people to come and see it, but then we
Yeah.
just knock them and go, "Hey, oh man, wow, I didn't expect that one." And like you said, have an emotional effect. We wanted people to feel her pain. When I wrote that scene, it was very difficult for me to write this character who I've known for 28 years, to write her in the situation of her being sexually assaulted. To shoot that scene when Sophie and I and Isaac, the guy who plays Victor, who's a sweetheart, by the way. He's the nicest guy, and I hope
Yes.
He's a
really,
great actor, though. He's
he's
a
a
great,
great
phenomenal
actor.
actor.
Amazing,
Amazing.
amazing.
And I hope
Amazing.
people
The
really.
chemistry between them two on screen is amazing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and they've known each other for years. She brought him to
Believe
us. She brought him to us, and I was like, "Wow, he's a good-looking guy. He's tall. He's handsome. He's got talent. But he's the sweetest guy." And so that was a very tough scene for him to, like, even in rehearsals. It took him time
Yeah.
to get there because he just felt like he couldn't lay his hands on her. He couldn't forcefully grab her. So it was a lot. But shooting that scene was so difficult for me as a director to do it again, because hearing her cry and hearing her say, "I said no," and it was so emotionally. To edit that scene was, oh my God, it was painful. I remember
Painful.
editing takes hours. I'm watching the scene over and over. I'm trying to find the best angle. I'm adjusting this, I'm adjusting that. And I was like, oh my God. And luckily, my girlfriend, as I mentioned, Brianna, is a sound healer. I finished that scene and she just happened to be doing a sound bath downstairs in our living room. I ran downstairs and I
Yeah,
just
you're like, I need healing because it could be dark and
it
painful and
shook me. It shook
yeah.
me. I felt the energy of the character, which goes to show you what a brilliant actress Sophie is. I felt the energy of the character resonating through me. I was like, wow, this is so intense right now to sit here for all these hours going through. So can imagine someone who lived it and to have it in their mind for the rest of their life. Like it just doesn't go away because I hit delete or cut or whatever I do in the computer. This is someone's life, and many people. And thank you for sharing and being so
Yeah,
transparent.
of
This is
course.
something we've heard so many times. We finish a screening, and a woman will pull me to the side and go, "Michael, thank you so much. That
Yes.
And
happened to me." I've
because
had
you're giving us also the
oh,
comfortability and the familiarity to say, I can share this. And wow, these people get me. Not only are they making a movie, that's why I want it to be so worldwide because it helped not only me, but people. And I know women who've been through it, whether it's fully the sexual assault or not, or just men. I,
yeah,
I say it's sexual abuse even sometimes when men like what they did to Sophie and even with the police. Like I've had people tell me, even this movie has taught me, you don't just trust authorities because they're the authority. You don't just trust the system because they're the system. You trust yourself. That's what Sophie and Yoli, the character, taught me and was going to teach everyone is like, you take justice in your own hands sometimes. Yes, be smart about it. Yes,
Yeah.
be patient about it. Because I never had patience. That's why it's like, it took me to, we met because I've been going through this also for 2 years or a couple of years, and now I get to talk to you guys about it. You're
yeah,
helping so many people take
yeah,
back their power
Yes.
because it's not about letting the police make. The police doesn't always know. With all due respect, they don't always know the decision. Even I had to tell them when I had to make reports. Look, per my lawyer, I'm sorry. Like we're gonna have to sue the police department if you're gonna be like acting aggressive and telling me that you don't believe me and that I'm lying. Someone's paying someone under the table. We all know it's money.
yep,
You know what I'm saying? So I love how you guys are bringing these like elements and these layers to this story of like, this is real. And so it's so important to me to get it out. It's so important because it's going to help so many women. You have no idea.
I agree. I agree. And it's such a crucial thing. And we saw the Me Too movement, which is
Yeah.
great because it took down a lot of people. It showed the corruption. It showed, the conspiring. It showed all the ugliness of the film industry, of every industry, it affected everywhere. But then it's like, okay, that slowly quieted, disappeared, and now no one's really talking about it again. And now, and guess what? It's still happening. It's still weird.
Well, the problem is that it happens primarily with people you know or family members. We're not talking about people in
Yes.
positions of power only, right?
Yes.
It's the people you trust. Like she trusted her friend to be a friend, right? You trust your family member, your uncle, your aunt, whoever and all of a sudden you're put into this predicament of, oh my God, and then you have to shut up about it because one, the family feels shame, or you
Right.
feel shame, or the family doesn't believe you, or the family doesn't want to believe you because they don't want it to be known. So they don't want you to go to the police. They don't want you to make it so there's this whole cover up that occurs
Yes.
well beyond the fact that there's corruption in the system or there's power and money sort of to silence it. All the other social economic factors of family and shame and guilt, and I mean, especially I don't want to say especially in the Latin community. I know from being a Latino what I've
Right.
seen and observed, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it happens in many more cultures, in every culture. But what I saw in the Latin community, this machismo and this sort of,
Yes.
I can't let anybody know that I've been hurt this way if I'm a man, right? You
Yeah.
never want anybody to know you've been hurt as a man in that particular way. 'Cause are you a man anymore? You're not a man anymore. Are you, what's wrong with you? So it's a multi-dimensional impact movie that, I can't tell you how many people after I did a short video on the movie reached out to me and said, I'm glad you did this. I wanted to let you know that I was sexually assaulted. I'm going, these are people that I've known for a long time that you say, oh my God, how have they kept their shit together, so
Right.
long without having an explosive, traumatic event. And the reality is they have had traumatic events and they haven't been able to sort of resolve them or whatever, and it shows up in relationships or it shows up in other factors in your life, and you can be successful in life on an outward basis and be a total mess inwardly during that whole
Oh,
time.
well, I was going to tell you because I felt very safe with Dennis. We bonded off the after the comedy show, and I had kind of expressed to you too, like when I told you I was acting, but also I went through the sexual assault stuff, and you're like, I can't believe you didn't talk about it. This is why this movie is going to resonate with you. But not only that, the fact that like you can have a restraining order even against somebody, but that person's so unpredictable and the system's not really protecting you that you feel you're on your own. So that's why I even resonated with Yoli. I was like, damn right, she's taking it into her own hand. She's becoming a fighter because she knows that there's no one else who's going to save her but her. So what am I going to let the system or everybody, am I going to die on everybody's expense, or am I going to think about me? That's what I got from, and that's why you made me feel safe to say, no, you're allowed to talk about this. You're allowed to promote this. You're allowed to say, and you're right. Unfortunately, it's like we become this difficult person because you're saying it's a cover up. I thank you for not making me and other women though feel crazy. Thank you for not making us feel like, you literally, all three of you beautifully said everything I've been thinking for months. I even told you it happened with people I know in comedy. That's the hardest thing. I came, just so the three of you know this story, I came to Dennis and I said, Dennis, we just met, but he has such a great work ethic and he's so respectful with women and everything like that. I said, maybe we can just work together on things where I don't have to deal with some of these men that because he said to me, remember, I don't know if you remember this, it's like, aren't you doing your comedy? You're going in and out, right? No, it's like these men want to stay, make you drink, make you do whatever. And it's like, that's not part of the job though.
Right.
That's not part of, you should be able to go, or Sophia should be able to go do her job, right? Work with creative people like you guys and then leave. But that's what scared me too, that it was a friend. It was someone and you're just really teaching people like these red flags to look out for too when you're out, maybe you get sexually assaulted. So, I mean, what do you guys think needs to change too? Yeah, Sophie, please.
I think it's the mentality because Jolie, she fights, like she literally she fights and then she becomes MMA fighter. But I think it's about attitude, like
Mhm.
a woman attitude to say no, and confidence, because when you have confidence, I've seen this, and that completely changed everything for me. When I started training, I was feeling more powerful, but like physically stronger, and I knew that if somebody just came at me, I could have take him down, wasn't a guy. So I was feeling good with myself, I was, because I was working on myself and everything, the training, I was eating good. I was working on myself completely. So that more than, the muscles and the training, it was the attitude that I was taking. So whenever, I don't know, somebody or someone say anything, something to me, I say like, I don't know, I don't care. That's your opinion. I don't care.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What are your tips? What are your
Yeah.
tips for women in general out there when a man has power and makes you feel like if you're not going to sleep with him or do or anything, or he forces himself on you, what are your tips on how to handle if you're saying no and they're not hearing? So what's some tips we can, like, as women, be confident?
I mean, well, when it comes like, physically, I
Yes.
would always say, try to learn jujitsu.
Okay.
Is when it comes to a physical thing,
Mhm.
trailing jujitsu, it could save your life, like as a woman, could literally save your life. But I think it's you we have to start changing our mentality, because like you guys saying and chatting about, the all the system is not gonna help you and everything. I truly believe that if you don't do the things, if you don't do it, nobody else will for you. Like, not really. So okay, Jolie, channelize that energy into fighting. You know,
Mhm.
I did into the acting, into
Mhm.
arts. Most people, I don't know, in their jobs, in the sports
Yeah.
and everything. But for us women, I think we need to start changing our mentality, that without men, we're actually fine. We can do
Mhm.
anything. We can give birth. We can
Right.
give birth, life. So we create life. They can't, for
Right.
example. So we have to embody our energy and our power, because we are powerful the same way as men are. But usually this abuses comes from someone that has power over
Yeah.
someone. Either uh I don't know, a father figure, it could be,
A
and I don't know,
manager or a
manager,
in my
somebody that
case,
is
yeah,
above you. But
love you.
what's above? Like, work, maybe age, but at the end, we all persons. We can do the same things. We have brains, we have everything. So I feel that it's something about the mentality that we have to embrace our power. And I think that's it, because if not, girl, we have always been teach that we have to be el sexo débil. So that's why I feel that way.
Yeah, and also for you guys to chime in, anyone, Michael, Dennis, Sophia, do you think when we do talk about these things out loud with people in power positions, is that a good thing, a bad thing? Should we always talk and fight for ourselves? Because for what I learned from this character of the movie and the movie itself with all the metaphors is, even if you sound difficult, yes, you should always fight for you, whatever that means. But like a lot of, like, I feel like I have had a lot of friends in the industry or myself get retaliated against if you talk about it. Like the guys don't want it, like Michael said, Dennis said, they don't want to take ownership. They want to cover it. So what do you think we can do to
I
like
think
overcome that? You know what I mean? Like to really get what we need, what we want still, and not lose. Does that make where the guys still have the job, and you don't
sure,
because you talked out loud?
sure.
Well, I think that's part of the shift that's going on subtly that Michael talked about. Some has shifted, like, I have three daughters, and I tell them,
Mm,
like Sophie, you don't need a man to be in your life to be confident and successful. You are good and intelligent on your own, as your own person. You are a fabulous human being. You don't need to surround yourself with a man or woman or partner or whatever. But that doesn't mean you can't have empathy, you can't have, those relations, but you have to be on guard, right? And, these predators, I call them predators, like you said, they know your weaknesses because they're pretty close to you. So they've seen you in the work environment. They've seen you in situations where where maybe you've had a couple of drinks and you tend to be maybe a little more, and so they know how to push the buttons and the right things to make you feel like you're safe with them, but you're not really safe with them. So I tell my daughters, you got to be on your guard all the time, and you have to be insistent and resistant from the very start. Not let any openings happen, and don't feel bad for by saying, "Hey, push back." Say, "No, hey, get away from me. Stop that. That's not appropriate. I don't need you talking to me that way. Please don't use that language around me. Please don't use that sexual innuendo. Please don't do that." Tell them, tell them, and most people will back off.
Yeah.
And
I
even if
agree.
they use it against your work, because a lot of
Yeah.
women on the audience ask me, what do I do in different types of work? The person won't book me, the person won't hire me. What do you
Well,
say?
that's why you have Lilith Fair. You have
Yeah.
all these other tours and things that happen where women take care of themselves, right, and show their
Right.
power and show their ability to sort of overcome this sort of what I would call this rigged system for men. Is women have the power at the end of the day. They just
Yeah.
need to be able to feel comfortable expressing it.
I
Yeah,
agree.
and like that, I'm not gonna give you the job or whatever. Then don't.
Don't no,
Don't
don't give
give
me
me
the
the job.
job.
Don't give me the job. It's the confidence,
The
about it. Because,
confidence, yeah.
somebody else, if okay, you don't give me the job, it's okay. Somebody else will. Bye.
Yeah. I'm
You
good
don't have
enough. I'm going to
to say,
get the job somewhere else. I mean, I'm
yeah.
that good. I have that talent. I don't need you to
Maybe
abuse
thank
me.
God you didn't. Yeah, don't you? Thank God maybe that you didn't get the job because
Yeah.
if that's gonna be your boss,
Then
maybe
maybe
it's way better, because when a door closes, another three opens.
Yeah,
You
there's
know.
a scene also, I think, in where Yoli, this really impacted me and inspired me where I forget you're in this scene where you're ready transitioning. By the way, phenomenal acting job on how you transition
Thank
from
you.
being that weak, like little, I don't want to call it weak, but being just feeling defenseless as a teenager and then transforming into this brilliant, like MMA fighter woman. The transition is phenomenal to see, but there's a scene where the guys one of the guys are trying to compare you to someone and you say something like I don't have the exact lines, but you look them dead in the face and you say, I'm not that woman. Or there was a line or some scene, but like I'll send you this, I'll share the scene when we're talking about it on air. But it made me feel like it's confidence. It's not giving a shit about, you're right. It's you come first. You're the one, you're the survivor. You're the one who's supposed to. It's just such an incredible movie. It's made me feel so much better that there's a platform that I can feel safe to talk about and other people can talk about it, you know?
That's beautiful. I appreciate that
Yeah.
so much. I think Sophie's bringing up a great point. I think that it
Yeah.
begins definitely with mindset, with confidence first and foremost. And then where do you get the confidence? And I think, like she said, training. I taught martial arts for 10 years. I'm a second degree black belt. So
Oh,
I lived in
wow.
this world from 13 to 23, and it kept me in a very safe bubble, kept me off the streets of New York. A lot of my friends were getting into trouble, getting into drugs, got arrested. One of them got murdered. It kept me away from all that. And I was just in karate classes Monday through Saturday, then starting competing in tournaments on Sundays. So that was my world for 10 years. I really believe and I know that you will get confidence from any type of physical training, whether it be martial arts, jujitsu, whether it be boxing, whether it be judo, whether it be wrestling, just something physical to show you that you do have power, that you can punch someone in the nose and make them bleed. You can kick someone in the groin and knock them to the ground. Like when you understand that something so small as that, a little jab to the eyes, something so simple can take someone down. It really gives you confidence to say, oh, I can stand up to this guy. I can stand up to this person and let them know. And if they don't hear me verbally and it becomes a physical thing, I can take care of myself. Like there's something very, very powerful in knowing that you can do that to somebody. And again, we always
Exactly.
said that martial arts is not being abusive and becoming a bully, but
Right.
it's the art of
Yeah.
self-defense. So if you know how to defend
Exactly.
yourself and you understand how to defend yourself, then that's great. And I know people carry, tasers and little, pepper spray, and that's fine, but you got to get it out of your bag.
Right.
It's
Your
like
hands you don't need to get out of your
yeah,
bag.
it's just another step of something to do, and you're probably nervous and it's shaking. You spray yourself
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
but knowing how to punch and knowing how to
Yeah.
hit someone with an elbow and kick them, like that is just, you're always going to have your hands and your feet with you, so you have to worry about like getting something out of your purse, out of your glove compartment or something like that. So I think that that's
Yeah.
very, very important. And I think the other thing too is like Sophie says, is like, if this person is already showing you these red flags from the beginning, then don't be with that person. To stay away from them, because that's only going to go down a more slippery slope, the more the opportunity gets bigger, whether it be for a job or a role or something like that. And it's very known in the entertainment industry, particularly with men, the casting couch. And, we saw what happened with these moguls who are very powerful in the movie industry, abusing their power. But then once women spoke up, once the
Mhm.
truth came out, shut it down. Like now this guy's in jail and this one's career's over. I mean, like it really, so it's important for us to speak up. It's important for women, and look, if you try to go to the authorities that they don't listen, like in the case of Yoli in the movie,
Right.
then social media is a platform that's shutting people down also. Like once the word gets out, like once it's on the internet, it's hard to take it back.
That's
So
why when everyone
no,
tells me shut your mouth, Chanel, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. No, I'm not. Like, I'm going to go through the right channels and I'm going to specifically speak my truth, because then everyone says that girl's crazy. That girl, that's what we get called, like speaking out or not speaking out. And it's like, but you know that the abuser and the predator is literally still at this bar or club and none of you care. So you can't also get mad if you're not helping the other person report it. I guess my question also is why I know you think it's a male dominant whatever
Yeah.
world and they're trying to cover up, but I guess that's why I want everyone to watch this movie and want everyone to speak up more and more. Was it
Exactly.
was it hard for you? What would you say your favorite scene was, and what would you say the hardest scene was for you guys to do?
For me, just a lot of the scenes where Yoli is going through that transformation was so wonderful
Yeah.
to watch, because I knew Sophie was already there. She spent 3 years in preparation for the role to get ready to shoot the movie, as we were trying to raise money and all that stuff, as I said, but I knew that she was gonna bring it, because I saw, she would send me training videos. I spoke to her coach, Luis Grasso, and he told us, and he told me, he says she's ready to go into the ring. Like it's not a matter of oh, she's ready for the part, for the choreography. No, she's ready to fight. Like I feel safe putting her in a ring knowing she can fight for real. And then we had another trainer in Mexico City, because he's in Guadalajara. When we were in Mexico City, we wanted to keep her sharp. So we met with another trainer who we found out there, who's a bare knuckle fighter, and he was training with her, and he said, I would put my money on her. I would put my money, like that's how well trained that she was. So it wasn't about like, oh, just for the move. It's like her as a person, she was at that point where she could defend herself, which is a beautiful thing.
That's
So,
beautiful. Like,
no, it is, it is. So I think that that's an amazing thing, is like for all women to learn martial arts, to learn boxing, to learn, whatever, take skills and learning how to communicate or express, because, there's verbal jujitsu also, right? There's physical jiu, there's verbal jujitsu. So verbal jujitsu can get you out of those situations where maybe you don't want to be confrontational or tell someone, hey, go F yourself, because
yeah, can you give us an example of verbal? I've heard of this jiu-jitsu,
jujitsu,
I'm
yeah,
pronouncing, but
Yeah.
I know that that's not always going to help you because you need both. But can you also like give us a tip, because that's
I, I
interesting
I
to me?
think that one is listening to your intuition, and in the movie, there's red flags with the character of Victor. He invites her to the pool party, and right away he starts talking about, hey, what's your sexual preference? Like he's already letting you know his agenda, and she tells him, I don't want to talk about those things. I think that's sacred
No
between the man.
spoilers. No spoilers.
Well, I mean,
No, it's,
I'm trying to
No
think of
spoilers, Michael.
something, but
but he's like telling them, like meaning, right, we see these red flags of her already saying no, I don't drink, I don't talk about sex.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that women are very intuitive, more intuitive than men. I think women really need to listen to the intuition. And if a man is already doing these things already, if a man is already doing these things already, then she has to listen to that intuition and let him know, like, I see you, I see what you're doing, and that not be scared to just say it. You know what I mean? Like just speak up, especially from a New Yorker like yourself,
I
and not be.
did after the movie. I said, but in a nice way. The movie actually taught me. I used to go like 0 to 100 with guys. Like my ex predator, I feel bad, but he is, and people don't want to believe me. This recent guy, because he's in the industry and there's a power dynamic because he books. I said, I have to explain to you nicely. I cannot go into bed with you. I cannot do all these things with you because you cannot make me feel guilty when A, you're drinking and getting drunk, and then you want to do this to me, and then you want to manipulate me. And I'm telling you, it's not about me not liking you, because a lot of men will be like, you don't like me. You don't, enough with that shit. It's because I don't feel safe right now to do this. And I have every right to say, and if you don't want to book me on your shows, don't book me on your shows. That's what the movie gave me confidence, because it becomes, like you said, it will become a toxic
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's three parts to this movie for a reason. There's going to be, and I have the privilege, I'm not going to talk about it, but to see the second part, God willing, I'll be joining you guys in the future. But it's incredible to me that you say no to a guy because of the entitlement, because of the power. Some guys just don't want to hear it. And now I have the confidence to say, if you don't want to deal with me because you want to manipulate me and make me feel guilty, that to me is a form of sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying no so many times.
Exactly.
And he doesn't want to listen. He wants to make me feel guilty about it. And that's where I saw myself in her at that dinner,
Yeah.
at that pool party. I was like, oh my God, like this is how it happens.
Yeah, there's red flags. There's signals that are happening throughout, and Yoli, she says no, she expresses herself, she says it even when the attack happens. I said no, So it's like there's people who won't listen and will try to force themselves upon. So, I think that's where it's like, okay, I've said it, now I've got to show you.
Well,
Now
yeah.
Right. Now I've got to show you. And you don't even suggest like moving away. Like my Colombian mother, God bless her, she's always like, don't ruffle feathers. Meanwhile, she'll scream on the top of her lungs if she has to, but don't ruffle feathers. Don't use, but don't walk away. It's always walk away. Do you feel walking away or no? You show them with like, do
I
you feel
think I
walking
think I
away
think
is okay?
in martial arts, we always taught, especially a specific martial art called Krav Maga. It's always like you want to get away. You want to get away from the situation, right? Like the
Mm.
last thing, because look, the truth of the matter is that
Yeah.
men might be physically stronger than the woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woman can get a good shot in and run away, great. But like to engage in a full out back and forth fight,
Yeah.
that's a little
Yeah.
dicey, even with Sophie's training, like I wouldn't be like, hey, go fight this 6'2" guy, 300 pounds, like it's more about like get the shot that you need to get out of the situation and get the hell away, so
Yeah.
that's what we more of like, just remove yourself from the situation to not get into any type of a physical confrontation. That should be your last resort. We always say it in the martial arts.
Yes.
Is the last resort. If you can verbally get away, great. If you can physically run away, great. But
Yeah.
try the last. But if it comes down to it, then it's like, okay, you gotta go all in. If you gotta just, because it could be a matter of life and death. We talk about
Exactly.
sexual abuse and we talk about all these things, but there's also kidnapping. Like that's
Yes, in a
next
lot of
level.
ways. There's also kidnapping.
Like it can continue to escalate to the ultimate, which is death. So we've got to be cautious and know that, okay, in a blind rage, it can go either way for the male or the female or whoever's involved. So we have to know that. So again, I strongly recommend, obviously, speaking up for oneself, of course, reporting it to the authorities. Like Sophie says, if they're showing these signs from the beginning, then maybe that's not the person you want to work for, and trusting that the right job will be there for you. The same way with Sophie, she came into that audition. We already technically had the part for another girl. She came in and she blew us away. And then mysteriously, the girl couldn't be part of the movie, and it wanted, because the role was meant for her.
For her, that made me feel right. There's hope. You're so
We have
right.
to
Like,
believe
Always.
that the
Yes.
right part will be there for us. Like, and sometimes
yeah.
as an actor, we go, oh, but this is it. This is the perfect role. It's the movie I've been dying for. I was with an actress friend the other day. She's a big fan of the Hunger Games, and this role, which she went to audition and she tried her best and she didn't get it. It's like, unfortunately, that's the as Sophie says, that's the nature of the game. Sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you don't. You deal a lot with a rejection as a filmmaker. I'm dealing with rejection all the time. Pitching to investors, pitching to distributors. I hear no more times than I hear yes. But it's just part of it. We have to just accept that and know that the right project is there for us. And if not, then make it. I had to write this script because there wasn't this story. I have a story I want to tell about this character. I had it in her mind 28 years ago, and I want to tell the story. So I had to go and raise the money. I had to shoot it. I had to edit the movie. I had to produce it. I had to direct it. I had to write it. I had to do all this
Make it happen.
And
But that's inspired. Yeah.
It's
And
very
by the way,
inspiring,
it's
very
also like
empowering.
working with people like you guys, right? Like even with Dennis, when talked about things, like it's almost like he believes in me or you guys to create roles. You work with people who are going to believe to create things or have things already for you without giving you this this journey of like hardship. You know what I mean? That's what I love about this movie. It's like it really teaches you to take your power, even if you are self-defense and the authorities might arrest you. She wasn't giving it, she didn't give a shit about that. She was like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you if you come for me. I don't care if your dad's a cop. I don't care if your dad's a powerful. That's what we need to get in our head. Because women get scared. We're like,
Yeah.
they're gonna tell the police that I hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your advice when that happens? Like, what would Yolise, what would
Men,
Yolise do?
Men has too much pride for that. Like, do you think they're gonna say, "Oh no, she
Beat
beat
the
the
shit
shit out of me, girl,
Hey, I don't even want to laugh at that,
girl"?
but the pride thing, girl, you need to write a book because this I can't. I'm dying of laughter. The pride, I forget about that. You're right. Do they want
mean-
to say that a girl beat the shit out of?
Exactly.
Come
No,
on.
it's definitely ego and
I didn't
pride.
even realize that. That's a good
Yeah.
No,
psychological.
for sure. No, there's so many. I think, and like Sophie said it so beautifully, women have the power. You have the power
Yes,
to
we
create
do.
life. There's no other higher power than that. Like that's it. Like none of us would be here if it wasn't for our mothers. Like we have to
Right.
remember that and respect that. And as a man, and as a man who's sympathetic and has compassion and as I said, aware of the feminine energy, I have the utmost respect for my mom and for all the women in my life. So we have to understand that and appreciate that and really, just that's it. That's the key.
That's
That
it.
the
That's the
women
key.
have the power.
Yeah,
I
well, I
can't wait to
also
push
think
this one. Yeah, Dennis, please. And
I
I'm
was
going to
just
ask you a
Chanel, you
question.
asked about the favorite scene. I think one,
Yes.
I loved the whole movie, but a part that resonated with me was the relationship between Yoli and her dad.
Yes,
It's
yes,
a
yes.
special relationship. I have three daughters. I have a
Yeah.
special relationship. And when the dad reads the reports and Yoli comes home, he doesn't jump all over her shit about what happened. He's hurting as much as she is. And what he does is he embraces her and comforts her. And for me, that was a powerful scene. And I don't know
That's
how you thought that out and how that played out, but Fernando and Yoli, that's me and my daughters. If something happens to you, I don't want to blame you. I'm not blaming you. I'm embracing and loving you because I know it was not your fault.
yes.
And for
And
me,
that that's
that was a powerful pivot point.
That's going to make me cry because that made me cry.
yeah, that scene, that scene moves so
Because
many.
we have our dads, and forgive me for crying. I get
I
emotional
love
on
it.
my
Oh,
own
please, please.
show because
Okay.
I want women to feel safe. And I think that was such a powerful scene because me and my dad are best friends, but sometimes your dad, he thinks protecting you is by silencing you. And
Right.
I think that scene was so powerful when he was on her side and he encouraged her.
And
And
she
I
walks
think
through that door and he embraces her
he
and just
embraces
hugs her
her.
and
I
said,
cried
feel my
so much.
love. Yeah.
I cried so much during that because it was like, wow, like how many dads do you know, who do that? And how
Yeah.
many dads do you know,
Yeah.
that
Beautiful.
do that? Like,
It's one of the most powerful moments in the
sorry, I
movie.
cried, guys. Sorry.
Hey, no,
I'm
no,
being like bawling like a baby, but
but it's
that's how powerful.
important. It's important because that just goes to show, this is the real stuff that we need to see. Yeah,
Right.
look, I'm a big fan of movies. Obviously, I go to movies multiple times a week. I see the big Hollywood 200, $300 million movies. We didn't have that budget, so can
Right.
we move people emotionally just the same with a simple scene like that with no lines? There's no dialogue.
I
She's
know.
There's no dialogue. No
But that's
dialogue
the
needed.
powerful thing is like you guys got in all our heads. I bet you there's so many people like me who thinks that can be best friends or close with their father, but they have daddy issues from it. I used to make jokes
Yes.
about it. Or they have real issues where they want their father or the male figure in their life to just believe them, to encourage them. Like Dennis and you said, you have kids, you have daughters, you have girlfriends, wives. Even Sophia, you can tell us about your real life dad. Like that, you don't need any words for that scene. That's what moved me. And you don't need a big budget to tell a story like this. This story needs to be worldwide as much as I can push it because I want every audience member to hear this
Thank you.
really, really sensitively and take it seriously because people ask me and I don't
Yeah.
have the answers. You guys are my experts. They can come to this episode right now and hear it all and feel less alone. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that was, wow, that was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That means a lot to
Yeah.
me. It's important. I do have to run,
Yes,
but
we're gonna wrap it up.
I do want you
Yes,
guys to continue. I do want you guys to continue.
yes,
I gotta go teach a yoga class, but I want to
yes,
share something really big. And
yes, please do.
Sophie and
Yes,
Dennis haven't even heard this yet, so I'm sharing
yes.
it here on your show, Chanel, on your show.
Yeah,
So
exclusive.
I woke up today to find out that we won another festival
Ah,
in Italy. We won
nice.
10 awards, 10 more awards.
Holy shit.
10. So that puts us now at 39. So we won for Best Feature, Best Producer, Best Director, Best Cinematographer, Best Screenplay, Best Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound
Wow.
Design, Isaac finally won. He won for best award, best actor for Isaac, who played Victor, the bad guy.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Of course, Sophie
Oh,
won for
Sophie.
best actress.
Of course, Sophie. Sophie, listen, I'm telling you right now, you heard it here first. Sophie is going to be a huge, famous success. She's going to be on magazines. We're going to
Thank
want
you.
to be her Latins, Americans, whites, you name it, Jews. I don't care who you are, Puerto Ricans. You mark my words, you're a star. We could also end it here. Like, I'd love for you guys to do one soundbite for the promo.
Sure.
First and foremost, August 8th, everyone tune in. Amazon Prime, Fandango, any streaming platform, go watch this movie. You heard it from me here first. It's going to win Emmys and Oscars. It's going to become the most popular movie. I'm telling you, go support my friends. Anyone wants to say one more thing? Or thank you. Where can everybody follow you, Sophie and Dennis and Michael, real quick?
Oh yeah, only on Instagram it's Sophie D, SOFYDI.
Okay.
Sophie.
Amazing. And Dennis, where can they follow you for more of the future projects that you're going to be
Uh,
executive producing? And
Instagram under Medicine Man, LinkedIn under Dennis F. Bonilla. I'll be obviously follow the De La Cruz the movie, which is a great place to go. And yeah,
Yeah. So
amazing.
Dela Cruz the movie on Instagram and Facebook, and then delacruzthemovie.com. And then on there you can link into all the different things. All the platform links are there, the trailer is there, people can see it, all the behind the scenes pictures, red carpet pictures are all there. But I do want to say something in the spirit of
Yes.
what we've been talking about in the theme of the movie. Dennis was very, very intuitive and suggested this, and we acted on it. We reached out to an organization called RAINN, RAINN, and RAINN is an organization that helps. It's a hotline for people who have suffered sexual abuse. So we want to give a shout out to RAINN. It's rainn.org, RAINN.org. And then the phone number for that is 1-800-656-HOPE, HOPE, 656
and they
HOPE.
answer in Spanish and English. It's the Rape, Assault, and Incest National Network.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. We're going to put that also in the description of iHeartRadio. So they have the links that they can have any audience members feel safe to click on it.
Yep.
You guys are amazing. We're going to all support the movie. One more question. De La Cruz. Why De La Cruz? Why that
Well,
title?
that's her last name in the movie, but as you see
Right.
in the movie, there's a lot of symbolism with the church. You know, I was
Yeah.
born and raised in New York. My mom is, we were raised Catholic, became Christian, then discovered yoga. So spirituality, religion has always been around me, and I always try to include churches in my movies and some type of a martial art fight scene in my movie. Those are my
I
two
love it.
my loves. But De La
Yeah.
Cruz, and we see the symbolism of the cross. How Gordo wears the cross, and Jolie goes to the church and she's looking up at the cross, and so that it's her name, but also has a lot of a symbolism in terms of like faith and hope
I
and
love that.
salvation. We're also releasing the soundtrack. The soundtrack is be coming out also on the music
Yeah.
platform. So the album is incredible.
Oh,
Omar,
we'll share it on Amazon
yeah,
Music. Some of
yes,
the music will get
yes, for sure.
so you guys can also check on patreon.com. We're going to give you guys an exclusive to the soundtrack of De La Cruz, but you
Nice.
gotta, guys, listen to the interview and watch the movie if you want an
Yes.
exclusive soundtrack. I know it's an amazing soundtrack. I was listening to it over and over again, but Michael, we'll let you go.
Thank
it-
you.
it-